May 28, 1989. It was time for Tahajjud prayer when his mother woke up from a dream. She saw that her house was filled with countless people and they were all gathered to congratulate her. She saw them paying her their affection and saying nothing but Mubarak ho Maji. It was not clear what it was all about, but it was imminent that something very honorable is going to happen with the family. Next day, when she saw her small garden was full of beautiful flowers with floral scent in the air, she couldn't understand what it was all about. She called her most beloved son, but he was out in the field, so she couldn't talk to him. He had just returned from the Atak fort after the unit inspection. Under his hawk-eye supervision, he observed every step of the training being given to officers and jawans, and was confident that his men can take up any task just on the notice of just a few seconds. He flew to Rahwali, Gujranwala, as he had to attend an important event there. Who are you? Airborne. What are you? Airborne. These were the slogans being chanted by the 6 paratroopers in the small compartment of an Mi-17 helicopter. The paratroopers started their jump one after the other. Naik Sultan Ahmed was the third to jump. His Sahab patted on his shoulder because he was about to jump. Khair ho were the last words said to him by his Sahab. On the ground, everyone was looking towards the skies, where one after the other small dots floating on the sky began to appear. Now the commander of his paratrooper contingent, Brigadier Tariq Mehmood, was to appear on the sky, who was the GOC of SSG and known as TM Tiger. The announcement was made by the commentator on the ground. His wife, Mrs. Iffat Mehmood, was also looking towards the sky, where she could see the floating dots coming towards ground. 5 parachutes were opened, but the 6th wasn't. 6th member was falling down like a rock. She could see that the parachute of her husband wasn't among the open parachutes. He was definitely the falling paratrooper. However, she didn't think that it's a threat, but considered it as a motivational act by her husband. When he was about 200 feet above the ground, everyone could see that it was a parachute failure. TM could be seen struggling with the parachutes to open the chute. Mrs. Iffat Mehmood could see her husband making somersaults and trying to open the chute. His speed was not less than 250 kilometers per hour at that time, while he saw the ground nearer. He maintained his falling position of a paratrooper to land on the ground. Away from the landing point, he fell in a wheat field. Meanwhile, the paratroopers in the sky also had taken measures to land as quickly as possible. Naik Sultan Ahmed was the first person to reach the landing spot. He got rid of his parachute and ran towards the falling spot of TM. He saw his Sahab lying on the ground. He looked as calm and intact as if he is just enjoying a sleep. As he got closer, he saw TM's left cheekbone, which was exposed and had torn out the skin. As he tried to pick him up, considering that his Sahab might be alive, he saw that Almost every bone in his body had been crushed into pieces. His black dangri was soaked in blood, which was oozing from his body. TM left for heaven. When the news reached his home at Pindi Gheb, his mother realized that this was the owner which was told about in her dream. It was her most beloved. Like her dream, people from every part of the town were there to see their most beloved TM. Like the dream, her house was filled with people. After a few days of TM's burial, his brothers went on his grave to pray for him. There they saw a young boy weeping like a child, sitting near his grave, hands raised for a prayer. Everywhere on his arms, 2 alphabets, TM, were tattooed. They were surprised to see the young boy and asked that who was he. He told that he was a fan of TM and had met him once. He had heard a lot about TM as he was a living legend among people due to numerous acts of bravery. After meeting TM, he decided to join the army but couldn't qualify ISSP, so he wasn't selected. Whenever he was free from home, he came to the grave and prayed for him. TM's brothers were greatly impressed with his passion and invited him to visit their home whenever he wants. So he used to visit them and talk a lot about TM with the family members. TM was not just a uniformed officer among his ranks and friends, but was a true source of inspiration. Major Abid Zahid, who is the creditor to clear the APS Peshawar from the terrorists, was also inspired by TM. Although he is no more, but the course he set and the acts of valor he has performed are still on an inspiration for every brave person.